I remember John West clearly because he was wearing cowboy boots in second base. And I look back, ostrich, but I look back and I go like, dude, you got cowboy boots. So yeah, I can umpire anything I want. You know me, Santos. I can umpire anywhere I want. I say, if there's a ball in the outfield, you have to run with those boots. You might slip out there. It's kind of embarrassing if you fall. He didn't care. That guy was funny as hell.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Back Pick Podcast. I'm your host, Brett Thomas. What an awesome guest we have today. Sandy Alomar Jr., legendary catcher, caught for 20 years at the big league level. He's been coaching ever since. He's been at the big league level for 43 years. Talk about seeing the position evolve. He talks all about that. And he tells some unbelievable stories from his days playing on some incredible teams in the 90s. This one was so good, we split it into two parts today as part one, and we hope you guys enjoy it. The Back Pick Podcast is brought to you by All Star Sporting Goods, who is revolutionizing catcher's gear for the modern day catcher. If you're interested in a discount code, DM us on any major platform or shoot us an email at info@catchingacademy.com. Super excited to have you on. Obviously a huge catching ambassador, I would say, big part of the game and the position, played a long time. You're now, it sounds like this is your 42nd year in professional baseball this year, which is pretty remarkable. Talk about the beginnings, obviously with your father playing, and kind of how you kind of grew your love for baseball.
Yes, believe it or not, thank you for the invite. I appreciate it. Believe it or not, when I was a kid, I like to do many other things. It wasn't just baseball. Even though baseball was there, my dad was a professional baseball player. And we go to the games, winter ball, which we adapted even easier. Just go to winter ball games and see how the professionals did it. I was a kid that was more interested in doing many other things. My dad let me do many other out of there. I used to ride dirt bikes, took taekwondo for many years. I used to go to tournaments, and baseball was kind of like a little bit in the background. But in this one occasion, this guy came out to my dad. He used to own a gas station, and they had this short tournament. And he say, "I am looking for a catcher." At that time, I was 14 years old, working my dad gas station, helping him out. And the guy came in, and my dad said, "Hey, they have a tournament. You go out there and play a little bit, see if you start liking it again." And I went to the tournament, killed it, and after that, I got back into the game. So I was not like my brother. My brother was 24/7 baseball. He go to every game. I was more like enjoying my childhood. My dad let me do what I felt like I needed to do to get it out of my system. He knew after the end that I was going to come back to baseball. So that's how we started.
Love it. You got off to a bang, rookie of the year. You snuck in a Gold Glove before Pudge got there and just started to steal all of them there.
That was like yes, that 90 season. I remember in my first year I had to catch a knuckleball like Tom Candiotti. And I was like, man, I had nightmares with that guy. That was like when I got traded from the Padres to Cleveland. I remember that the first thing that came to my mind, hey, you gotta catch this guy. And there's no way to prepare for that, my man. There's no way. I feel like when I went to spring training, he gave me a glove, like a big glove, but it was too flimsy and the pocket was messed up. I told him, hey, man, I'm going to catch you with my glove. Don't worry about it. I'll make sure I catch it. First game, actually, first pan, he threw a ball. And I went after him. He's straight on the mask. And after that, I'll go, hey, give me your glove. At least with your glove, I can tackle a baseball. With this one, but now they make better gloves for that. They're not many knuckleballers, but they made better gloves with better pocket. You can handle them better. But it was a great experience my rookie year, and after that, like you said, Push came in and he was over. He was a phenomenal catcher.
It's interesting because we have all the metrics now, for receiving and blocking and all the things that we really didn't have metrics for back then.
What do you think the basis of, like when you won that gold glove, what do you think the basis of that was? Like, I feel like we got to Pudge and it was like he just threw so well. And, it was just,
Yeah.
it kind of just like, it was seemed like a award that was like once you had won it and proven yourself a couple times, it was like you were kind of almost grandfathered into it a little bit. What do you think like actually went into the thought process of those back then without having all the metrics?
Yeah, I that's a great question, my man. I really I think I felt like in my mind, my theory was make sure you keep the double play in order, have the best chance to throw people out. I had a great arm too. So uh nobody thought about receiving it. You frame and stuff like umpires were a little difficult too because they'll tell you don't be pulling balls and don't do this and do that. So you basically you didn't even have a pre-pitch. You like there and boom, then like maybe pull a little bit, whatever. But there was no metrics of receiving or nothing. Then you start realizing that the pitch counts can go up if you don't get pitches. But at that time, the strike zone east to west was like ridiculous to certain, I mean,
Mhm.
certain parts of the order. And that's what people don't understand. It's like when we talk about on base percentage, you can't compare the on base percentage from those era to now because uh, the zone was dictated by the umpire then. Now now you have to respect that quadrant. You know, you can't go too far off the rails. And umpires been phenomenal. Even though you see arguments and stuff like that, they want to call the ball in the quadrant. They don't want to go off. But in the past,
Mhm.
you saw that game with Atlanta and Miami. There was balls that were
Mhm.
foot outside, like literally
That
12
was
inches.
insane.
They were called
Yeah.
strike backdoor turbo. So like if you hit in the bottom of the order, you have to swing it back. And
Mhm.
that's the what we saw. But you as a catcher, you want to make sure you keep the double play in order, make sure you block everything. And but it was a wear and tear, my man. It was a wear and tear. Like I had the a microfracture surgery early in my career. I really threw me for a loop because I had to wear the knee savers, and the knee saver kept me a little higher. And sometimes I feel like I was going over the ball. Well, not sometimes, many times.
Mhm.
But I couldn't stay under the ball because I had the knee savers on, even though it was permitting me to play. At the same time, my hips were sitting a little higher, and that's I just wanted to play. I didn't know that at the time, but now with the
For
new
sure.
metrics, you have an idea. But the biggest boom came with biomechanicals. That's the biggest boom because you can once you start studying biomechanicals, you can identify who can do what. Not force players to do something they're not capable of doing, but uh, the revolutionary one knee down. I mean, if I had for a taller guy, that would have been perfect because it keep you fresh. You're able to stay under the ball, be able to move the hand quicker, and not get exhausted mentally. So like once you start understanding that and and kind of I didn't play like that, so I had to learn all these things on the go at in the major league level, and I have people that really helped me through it, and I'm very grateful for it. Still learning. I'm not a perfect person. I look a lot of videos to start analyzing. I try to make things better by looking, identifying biomechanicals, and say, okay, I see you doing this and that, but at the end of the day, it's not going to be efficient for you. I don't think at that point.
So when you're talking about using the biomechanics, are you talking about like where their mobility is in their body and how
Correct.
they sit in certain spots? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, the
And I always
screening,
that
the screening of the internal rotations, ankle mobility, pronation, supination, all this stuff with the throwing. That's a huge help because pitching went ahead of pitching way went ahead of catching and hitting for that reason. Because pitching were able to use biomechanicals to generate velocity. So now you're
Mhm.
leaving offense behind, and so the catching because with that velocity come different shapes. And with those shapes, the catcher needs to understand how you have to manipulate his glove. And
Mhm.
one of the things that's one of the things that I always look at. I say, okay, what how many shapes this guy have, and how are we going to work the glove, and what do you have to do to make it that everything looks the same? And if people are moving their body too much, you notice that umpires tend to follow you anywhere you go, and kind of lose sense of the strike zone or trying to hide behind you so they don't get hit. You have to identify all that kind of stuff. Like so, it's been a learning process. I really love it, and the caveat on top, everybody knows it's like, the more stride you can gain, the more pitches you save, and that way you can save the bullpen for later on. So like, I give you more innings. So that's very important. And now today with the metric, like you said, basically the things that gain you the most point on the defensive round say is going to be receiving because you do that the most. That's obvious. But on the course of the game, there's going to be many things that you need to do that other things better. You need to keep that double play in order because when the playoffs come, everything is forgotten. Everything is like small ball and contact and throwing strikes, and it's different. So we play one season one way, and then when we go to the playoff, everything becomes kind of like more old school. So like, I feel like a blend is pretty good.
Yeah, for sure. And we've talked about that a bunch too, where, with our catchers, it's like, hey, we understand receiving from a regular season standpoint, you're going to gain so much. But like when it comes to winning games, when it matters, like, you know, the, I always use Dave Roberts as the example. Like we knew Dave Roberts was going, we knew he was stealing. You know what I mean? Like we just, that's
Yeah.
like, hey, you got to be able to make those plays. Yadier throwing out Chase Utley that year in the NLCS, like things like that they're so important into that game. I want to ask you about the durability piece because you talk about, I mean, you caught a bunch of games. You caught when the day off was just basically a day night doubleheader. If if you could go back and utilize the one knee stance, I mean, how much better of a hitter like numbers do you, because you hit really well already. But then it's like I use Cal Raleigh as an example of like, we had a catcher hit 60 home runs this year. And I think, had we not evolved into the knee down stance that gives you a little bit more energy and save your body, like we may never have seen that. How much better a hitter you think you'd have been if you could have taken a little ease on the body?
Great question. I feel like my hitting took a hit after I had my microfracture because I had to relearn how to land, how much time that I have, because I felt like I lost any stability in my front knee. It was the left knee, so when you hit, you lost any stability. I couldn't coil the same way, so I had to make sure that it stay a little open, so when I land, it won't grab me. Uh, with that being said, you have countless of innings back there on a regular stance. And even though, if I could have like split it with nobody on base and then regular stand with people on base, it would have helped me tremendously. Because I'm a taller person. I'm a 6'4". I was 225 pounds. And when I start wearing my knee savers, now you start rolling and putting, I mean, even though it created a gap in my knee and it helped me, I'm telling you, it helped me dramatically. If I would have had the one knee stance, I probably didn't even need the knee savers. So I would have used it for a protection just in case I end up landing conventional because your muscle memory is taking you back to what you've done all those years. So yes, I agree. I agree 100% with you. I would have felt fresher. I would have been able to stay under the ball to many other pitches too.
I want to tie back into the umpires because I think it's interesting. We know now there's like a zone in the big leagues and in the minor leagues, and it's even getting to the point in college where they're using TrackMan and things like that. But as we get to like working with youth catchers like we are, they're back into kind of the way it was when you were catching in the 90s of the umpires controlling the zone. Talk about some things that you did in terms of building your relationships with umpires or understanding their zones, and how that was able to help you get strikes.
So like when I played, that there was not you rely on the scouts, live scouts going out to the games and kind of explaining. We always ask for an umpire report. We have VHA. I had a VHA test with a portable VHS player with a small screen, which is kind of like an iPad. And when we were traveling, I used to put those VHS that were given to me by Mark Wiley, our pitching coach, and educated myself each single umpire. But I started noticing trends on umpires. Like I tell people, like if you're hit from 1 to 6, your zone might be normal. But if you hit from 7, 8, and 9, those people are gonna have to swing the bat because otherwise the games would have been 5 hours. So you have to understand every umpire's trend. Go out there, respect them, shake their hands when they tell you. Before they used to tell you 100% yes in your face. Don't be framing and pulling pitches. Just catch the ball where it's at. Not all of it. Until you start getting more experience, then you start kind of like having a relationship. More, you have to get in there. You're like, okay, like this guy throws this. I explained to the other umpire, but the most important thing is make sure you block balls in the dirt and don't let him get hit. If you don't let those umpires get hit, they give you a ton of pitches. And that's how the way it was in the past. Now you have camera, Hawkeye, all this kind of stuff, and the track man, the track zone, they can mess around with you, only on his shadow zone areas. Basically, those are the ones you want to get and don't lose, or the balls on in the white. But in the past, you have to have an extremely great relationship. Don't disrespect the umpire, giving the good feedback. At times they asked me, hey, can you check that pitch and see if he was a strike when I was catching against the other team? I said, bro, I'm going to tell you right now, that was a ball. If you call that against
Mhm.
me, I'll be screaming too, like, that was a ball. But if you're not calling for both sides, I have no problem. But that's the way it was then. Like, there was like, you have to watch videos. You have to go through the scout report and see if you compare what did the scout saw that you saw in the video, and you kind of like make your own determination.
I love it. It's interesting, those we're seeing the umpires get better and better. Obviously, now they're graded and they have to be a certain way, but those, we've kind of a lot of those older umpires that were umpiring when you were playing have started to retire too. And so now these younger guys are trained on the Hawkeye and TrackMan and all that stuff, which, makes them obviously a little bit better in terms of balls and strikes. Who were some umpires? I want to know who your favorite umpire was from back in the day, and I want to know who your least favorite umpire was from back in the day.
Wow. Favorite umpire. Let me see. I had Tim Tishida was pretty good to me. Brian Honora. We talk. We converse. Richie Garcia was awesome. Treated, when you come up in the past, the veteran players used to tell you, hey, you gotta go when the umpires are when they call a strike on you and try to test you, don't look back, don't show him off, just keep looking to the mound. If you have something to say it quickly. But you're a rookie. Don't. These people treated me great. Like I feel like if I feel like I'm out there protecting them when I'm catching, they treat me great. Uh, I had issue. Let me see. I didn't have issue per se with any umpire. I think I got thrown out of the game one time, but he was protecting one of our players. I don't think. Oh, maybe one time arguing balls in strike when Charlie Nagel was pitching, but I can't remember if it was Phil Cousy, which is a great friend of mine right now, or the other guy, King Kaiser, the late King Kaiser. This is a good story. This is a good story. We are in Seattle, Washington. We had a guy, Rudy Cianes. This guy threw 102 mile per hour, old
Uh-huh.
school radar. I'm not talking about this guy threw hard. We
Mhm.
ride because people say, "How do you determine ride? Then how do you determine vertical ride?" I say, "Well, think about this." I tell people this: if you face two pitchers that throw 95, okay, one lose harder than the other, what that tells you? You have more extension, and you're both carrying. You're both carrying. And that's how we did it then. Like we go like, oh my God, like this guy had ride, Rudy Cianes. He throws I call it fastball. He spikes his fastball. Okay. I'm going like this, he spikes it. The next one, he throws it over, I'm kind of like thinking, man, I gotta stay way under this ball. He throws one up and he hits Kaiser on the forehead. Kind of like the video, I had no glove on it. You know how far he starts screaming at me. I mean, Mike Hargrove had to come out. He was crazy. But after that incident, we became friends. I even donated stuff for his auctions and stuff like that. I'm not trying to like kind of like bribe him and stuff like that. But when umpires tell you, hey, can you send me a couple of, well, hell, have five, have six, whatever. Have a great conversation with them and help them in their chair. They're still human beings, man. They do a fantastic job, and they knew what they knew then, and that's everybody had to deal and adapt with it.
Yeah. I know. It was actually it was Brian Watley sent me a clip that he was talking to you about in that playoff game where Hargrove got thrown out like 3 pitches into the game.
Oh, Joe Brickman, that Joe Brickman video.
Yeah,
I didn't have a problem with Joe Brickman. He was just moody.
yeah.
Every day he comes out with a different attitude. So like I felt like man, this guy's throwing, like he's one of those guys that tell you you can break, you can't pull. I don't want you to be pulling. I just catch the ball, like kind of close the door, like they used to teach taught us then. Kind of brought the ball back to the zone like this
Mm-hmm.
slowly. You can either do it up like this or you can work under it, but nobody taught anybody go swipe up or kind of telescopically have speed going forward.
Mm-hmm.
They taught you having soft hands. Now is the opposite. Now you want to have hard hands so you can break the
Mm-hmm.
ball like faster, not slow because the umpire is able to see your forearm. So, so like he, I think he has something against Dwight Gooden. I don't know, but the first pitch was real low. I didn't even. I just caught it and threw it back. The second pitch was right there, and he kind of set back, like literally 5 foot behind the catcher. He was never close to you on one knee. If you look at him laterally from the dugout, he's so far from the catcher that I don't even know how he saw the pitches. To be real,
Oh, I love it. Did you guys, because the year that Eric Gregg called that Livan Hernandez game, that was the year you guys played them in the World Series. Did he umpire in the World Series? Did he do a plate game in the World Series that year?
no, I don't. I don't remember. Joe West, Brian Onora, I think was.
Okay.
I don't know if John Payne was in a series. I can't remember. I remember Joe West clearly because he was wearing cowboy boots in second base. And I look back, ostrich, but I look back and I go like, dude, you got cowboy boots. So yeah, I can umpire anything I want. You know me, Santos. I can umpire anywhere I want. I say, if there's a ball in the outfield, you have to run with those boots. You might slip out there. It's kind of embarrassing if you fall. He didn't care. That guy was funny as hell.
Oh, it's so good. So, let's stick to the umpiring for a minute here. What are your thoughts on the challenge now with the ABS this year?
Well, if you only get 2 challenges, you still have to do the same thing as a catcher. You can't disregard. Okay, there's challenges and stuff like that. You don't want to use challenges early in the game. Depend what the score is and the how many outs. If it's a key situation or not. Um, it's going to give an opportunity for the hitters and pitchers to those shadow zone balls that are like close to the plate to contest those. I think it's fair. I think it's fair for both sides. I don't have a disagreement with that. What do you
Yeah, and I'm
think?
happy that it's like I like it. I like it too, and I'm happy that it's the players that have to, make the decisions. My first worry on it was like, are the coaches going to like on the base pass where they're able to like hold the hand, hey, on second, because then they could just look every time and see if it was a ball or a strike, right? So I like that at
Yes,
least the players in the moment have to know the zone and they're going to have to figure out, hey, you know, this hitter thinks everything's a ball. Don't, you're not allowed to do that. Every pitcher thinks everything's a strike. Like you don't challenge anything. And I think it's going to weigh heavily on the catchers because they're the ones that I think know the zones better than anyone else.
100%. But those hitters, you have to identify who are the hitters that walk a lot. Those people have a good sense of the strike zone. Those that don't walk a lot, strike out a lot, I don't believe those guys for a second because they're moving their head. They don't even know where the home play is at times. They're trying to rush because of the velocity. They're trying to rush and their eyes move. So I don't know. You have to identify who are the guys with the good eyes that you can trust, the situation. And like you said, there's some pitchers that are there releasing the ball and they don't see, the eyes are looking over there as they looking for space to throw the baseball. They don't see where the ball's landing or going by. So you have to identify those players and have meetings and say, okay, I don't know if you remember last year the issue with Francona that he in spring training he didn't let his players challenge.
Yeah.
I don't know if you heard about that. They say, well, we're
Yeah, I
not
did.
playing with challenger this year. Why are we going to challenge people? We're going to play the game the way it's supposed to be played in the 2025 season without challenge. He didn't want the players. He wanted the zone of the umpire to dictate the game because we're not going to be using the guys that really helped the big leaguers were the minor leaguers because those guys been dealing with that for a couple of years. I remember with the clock situation, they were asking questions. Hey, how are we going to handle this? I said, well, let's ask the guys that already experienced it. They're down there and on the other side. So our AAA manager, Andy Tracy, other AAA coaches came and helped us out with that and kind of let us know best way to do it and how quick you want to do it, how many people have to be involved. So those guys help a lot for us to adapt to that rule.
I love it. Talk a little bit about, it's amazing. I remember those teams you were on in the 90s were so freaking stacked. And I went back and looked at the rosters before we jumped on here. And I'm like, man, they were like you guys had good players and then like more good players in the system were coming in. The Brian Giles, the Richie Sextons, the Bartolo Colognes, all these young guys started coming in. It was like, holy, it was amazing. But I want to talk to you about how you handled pitchers, because as I was looking through the rosters, it's always interesting to see the pitching staffs. And it's like you had, like 97, for example, you had the Jarrett Wrights and the Bartolo Colognes, the young guys, but then you had Orel Hershiser, who was, like 38 at the time and obviously, an incredible pitcher. Talk about how you handle pitchers and the differences, obviously, between each guy.
That's incredible question. An incredible question. I feel like Orel Hershiser and Dennis Martinez was there too. Help a lot with that. And we had also Tony Pena. He was my backup, which was a tremendous amount of help with the experience that he had. And catching pens with those guys. I learned a tremendous amount of catching pens with Orel, catching pens with Dennis Martinez. I learned something from Dennis Martinez that maybe he don't remember right now, but it was always stayed in my head. When he threw his bullpens, he threw his bullpen first block practice, and then he randomized pitches, okay? Which is kind of normal for everybody. You go like, you throw 5 fastballs in a row, 3 breaking balls over here. Blah, blah. He threw his bullpens. He warm up. He doesn't count for his pitch count. Then he started randomizing. And he goes, if I throw a breaking ball and I hang it, I gotta have to come back with a fastball to throw a breaking ball again. Because he was saying it's like in the game, if I hang the first one, it's gonna get hammered. But if I throw you a nasty breaking ball on the first time and I hang the second, it's very difficult for the guy to hit it because now your eyes are adapting of the horizontal move to use. Oh man, that slider had this much horizontal move. So you try to like stay with the ball and then the other one hang. Like David Cohn used to throw backup sliders on purpose. Literally, I don't even know how he did it. Your first reaction after you see a good one is go back. And once you go back, you're done. You lost your posture, you're done hitting.
Mm-hmm.
So he said, if I miss a breaking ball and then come down, let me throw another one. I said, I don't get that chance in the game. Why am I gonna do it like this? I gotta have to do it randomized. That way, when the game comes, my arm is ready, my mechanics are ready to go from a fastball to a slider and be efficient. Get it? You understand what I'm saying, right?
Hell yeah.
So I kind of like felt like, man, this is through the year learning from these guys. I'm like, if I ever coach catching, I'm gonna do it the same way. Practice with randomization because if you don't, your mind adapts to one speed all the time. So you have to break down that cycle of hard, slow, slow, hard. You want to make go hard, slow, hard, slow, and let your brain adapt to that cycle, not the other way around. And I understand you have to learn a mechanic, to learn a pattern, you have to block practice that. But after that, you got to randomize a lot. There's been a lot of studies on that. But Orel Hershiser, Dennis Martinez, Charles Nagy, all those guys help a lot. But Tony Pena was an incredible help because he helped me on the how to read swings better, how to establish like a kind of like a football game, run the ball so you can wear out the defense. So he wanted you to pitch a lot inside to open up the outside a lot. And I'm like, we had debates about this. If I go inside all the time, we're 2-0. You put in the guy in a slugging situation. So we had all these debates. He goes like, yeah, you put him in a slugging situation, but if you throw a fastball away well located, he's still thinking in. So it makes a lot of sense. So stuff like that, like we kind of like debate different way to call games and how to set up hitters.
I love that analogy of the football play calls. I've never thought of it that way. That's awesome.
Yeah. Sometimes you got to bring other sports to baseball too.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. I mean, I think, you know, obviously the game has changed so much. Talk about your evolution as, into coaching, and having to, I mean, learn just as much, especially, when you look at our position. It's like in the last, whatever, 6-8 years, especially, like it's changed so much. And and I think it's a great example, somebody like you who did something a certain way very, very well, is now coaching it completely different. Talk about the evolution of that and how you had to kind of learn all these new techniques.
Yes, I kind of like I saw many. I saw some catchers doing pre-pitch, and in at the end of my career, Tyler Flower, perfect example. Tyler Flower, I'm like, man, what is he doing that for? But man, he was getting all the pitches. I said, this dude's getting all the pitches low in the zone. So started there. It started really with him. I know that Tony Pena and sort of some other guys caught in one knee a lot. I was a more extended knee. But when that evolution came in, you have to watch the guys that are kind of brought it in and presented to baseball, and it kind of like watching to see, okay, let me see their ideas and trying to use their ideas, incorporate it, because our catchers need to use it for our pitchers, so we have to kind of like embrace it. But I didn't want to, I didn't want to really. You don't want to critique those people because you want to make sure, like I said, okay, like I don't want to jump in and critique them because they might have stuff that hypocritic I might have to use. So like yeah, I learned, watch videos. We have Austin Hedges coming in. He helped tremendously. Biomechanics help a lot. But listening to the people like Greg Arbonez came here last year. He got different philosophy and different things. Brian Watley, he's awesome. I love working with him because he brings great ideas, and he started with this far back. So those are the people that kind of slowly kind of helping me with all this. Luke Carling, he was in a minor league system with us for a minute. He used to go to the seminars and stuff like that. So I kind of incorporated some of their stuff at the beginning because we had Roberto Perez here winning Gold Gloves. Like this guy caught conventional. This guy didn't have a pre-pitch, but he has an incredible amount of. He reads the ball real early, and minimal amount of movement, and he has quick hands, and a heck of a big glove. Holy cow! So now this guy is he did all three things well. He threw well, he blocked well, he received well. He was never the best at one particular thing, but he was in the top tier in everything. Equals 30 defensive runs saved. So if you have a guy that do that and you try to incorporate one knee down with him, he's gonna say, "Man, get out of here!" Like,
Yeah.
you understand? So you have to wait until the correct person comes in. Yan Gomes always kind of like a finalist for Gold Glove, but his receiving was held him back because I felt like he has a hard glove, hard mitt, that you have to squeeze the ball instead of just like pressing it. And I used to tell him all the time. One time his glove ripped, and I threw in my glove from the bench. I used to have a glove I go in between innings to help the catchers. And I had a rolling 34-inch, and he was just like, "See this? This is the glove you need right here, and you win the Gold Glove." But he had a contract with me, so I used to harass him, but he was in incredible shape, blocking, cannon for an arm, quick release. So I had those guys that I felt like I was comfortable training the traditional way, and that was no problem. But then when biomechanics come in and you have Austin Hedges come in, you want to transfer Bo Naylor from he couldn't throw wells on secondary pitches. So okay, let's eliminate you hit high because when you over the ball too much, you're rolling forward and you're lengthening your change. When you roll forward over the ball, your transfer gets long because your arm becomes long. The only way you can do this and throw people out if you throw 3/4. Because if you go on the ball, you lengthen and you have to climb too much.
Mm-hmm.
That's a situation with Dingler. Dingler is a big time climber. Holds for an arm. He throws 85 miles an hour, 87. But at times in his secondary pitches, he used to go over and he used to spike the ball. When he tried to decelerate, his arm was going ahead of his torso. But I noticed a change on him that he stay under the ball better, wait for the ball, catch it, climb, boom. Because if you wait for the ball, your climb is going to be short. But if you go over it, Realmuto, Bailey, all those guys, they cheat. They do it like that, but they throw 3/4.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you go over the ball and you try to climb, the guy's running, man. That's time. Those guys go like this, boom, like an infielder and throw. They're very athletic. Not everybody can do that. Not everybody. Creates too much pronation, and your arm's gonna be late if you climb. So you have to do it from here. If you go over, Jose Molina used to do it. Yadier Molina. I watched all this tape from all these different catchers. Yadier Molina was more in between, but he can adapt to anything. He was the Bruce Lee of catching right there. When you go,
Sure.
if I ask you a question, tell me the key catchers that evolutionary catching through the years. What your response would be?
I mean, I think Yachty would probably be number one. I would obviously Pudge, when I look back, I mean, I grew up with Pudge was like my favorite player,
Okay.
obviously,
All
because
right.
of what he
So you
did,
cannot
right?
go
But
any further back.
no,
This is how I have it.
yeah, I love
This is
it.
how I have it. I have Tony Pena,
Mm-hmm.
one leg stretch. Well, actually, before him, Johnny Bench designed different glove. Catch with one hand, catch with one hand. He was the guy that was big, catch with one hand. Everybody go, oh, he's crazy.
Yeah,
Get a catch with two hands.
yeah.
Here comes Johnny Bench. No, you don't. No, you don't.
Yeah.
So he revolutionized the receiving, the throwing, all that. Then comes, to me, Benito Santiago,
Oh, yes.
throwing from his knee.
I'm in the Bay Area, so we caught a little bit of Benito in San Francisco and loved watching him throw from the knees.
So but that was like we grew up together. He was a year and a half. Oh, I used to replace him in every league, in little leagues, Pony League, American Legion, Double A, Juvenile, Double A. They have in Puerto Rico 2 different leagues, like it's American Legion, but there's 2 different leagues.
Mm-hmm.
I was his replacement everywhere I went. So I saw this guy when he was a kid doing that stuff in professional baseball. I go,
That's crazy.
I never seen that before. So he was my icon coming on. Like he was my brother. We grew up together, but he was my mentor. So I felt like he revolutionized. Then comes Paz Rodriguez, and he does everything phenomenal. But I don't consider him a guy that revolutionized catching. He was just the best at everything. But he
Yes.
cut like Johnny Bench, because Johnny Bench already broke that. I'm talking about one knee downs or a different way of receiving, and a guy that does it all. So then I go to Yadier Molina, and you see a guy that kind of like could catch like anybody. He had the flexibility, the biomechanical perfect foot catcher. He could block different ways. One knee block, jumping block, 2 knee blocks. So all those theories that you see different catchers doing, Yadi could do all of them. So that's what I call him the Bruce Lee of catching, because he can stay under the ball, he can go over it, still get strikes, and he can cheat. He can stay under the ball and throw, so he could do all that. Not everybody's blessed like that. The guy was a phenom.
Yeah, he was incredible. And I think I'll add one more to the back end of that in more recent times. I think Buster Posey started to bring a little bit more of like a shortstop, like athleticism to the position, where it was less of like obviously incredibly athletic. All the guys you just mentioned were incredibly athletic, but it's like now it kind of brought to the point of like, all right, it doesn't just need to be the big physical guy that's back there catching like it always was in the past. Posey was a shortstop at one point in college and just brought a little bit of that athleticism. And I think that started to see, now you see, like we're talking about Patrick Bailey's and things like that, where it's like, man, some of these guys like doing some things way outside the box, just being athletic.
100%. And you can identify athleticism a lot easier, not just using your eye. Like I say, screening guys, how they move. You watch you have a better idea. There's more resources now to identify good athletes than before. Before you had to see him play, like or run a little bit and stuff like that. Now it's like before you go to profession, they already know what you can do. Mr. Posey, by the way, he was a monster. He was a savage. I mean, a guy that can hit like that. I don't know if he introduced one knee with Albie later on in his career or not with Alvarez. I'm not sure. I don't remember that. But he was a leader back there. They hit homers, driving runs, cleanup hitter, catcher, play every day. And I say quiet leader because you never saw the guy chirping or anything. He was kind of like a quiet leader. But he's a special player. This guy was a special player.
He won like every award you could possibly win. It was impressive. I was looking at his like Wikipedia page one day. It was like he was Rookie of the Year. He won an MVP. He won a batting title. He's obviously won 3 World Series. He even won the Comeback Player of the Year. I mean, it's like insane. He's just done it all. And I think, he did get into Albie did have him doing some one knee stuff after COVID in that 2021 year, and it was awesome. I mean, I got some videos of him throwing from right knee down that is like awesome.
I saw that. He did it in the game.
Yeah. Yeah. And even Albie was on the podcast and he was saying like, it was kind of a tongue in cheek thing, but he's like, man, like Posey would tell him after, he's like, man, if I had this 5 years ago, like I'd keep playing, but my body's just banged up, it's just tough now. And he's, can't play at the same level. So it's one of those things where again, like, man, like guys like him, guys like, even Yadi doing it more, you doing it more, being in that knee down stance, man, I think the sky's the limit on what you guys could have done from just being healthy.
Yes, I'm gonna say this. I didn't play the same amount of games those guys played because I have many injuries in my left knee. This would have had me playing more games, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
The new rules would have had me play more games because I got ran over a couple of times. That's how I messed up my knee. So with the new rule, you can hit the catcher and stuff. Then you will stay healthier, which maybe will transform better hitting. But yeah, you 100% correct. Buster Posey took that hit, and coming back from that was like he's lucky he was catching after that.
Hope you enjoyed nerding out with us today. If you did, be sure to like and subscribe on all major platforms. We'll be here every other week talking about the greatest position in all of sports. Take care.